Hey everyone, Epnel here, and welcome back to Commanding the Cheese. This week, since I was pretty busy, and yes, I know this is a late upload, we'll be looking at a pack of Modern Masters and discussing the cards inside. Since this channel is a bit Commander orientated, we'll be going over the cards, purposes, and Commander, despite it being Modern Masters. Okay, so starting off, this is the pack here, Modern Masters. Pretty cool. Let's see what we have. By the way, for those that don't know cards, that's the art for Dark Confidant, which is a pretty good card. Okay. First of all, let's see. The token is a Kitskin Soldier. Not much. Starting off, we have Warspite Changeling. It's a Changeling for 4 mana. Changelings are every creature type at all times, even when they're in your hand, graveyard, library, etc. You can pay 1 red mana to give it first strike. This is, personally, I feel, a really budget card. It's not really great in any way, except maybe the first strike, which might be somewhat tactical, but usually it's not tactical. You might want to use him in a budget tribal deck, because he's a changeling, so he's every creature type, so he adds to your creature count for your tribal deck, but otherwise, in EDH, I don't think you'll be using him. Latuka Shade is pretty interesting. Since if you're playing mono green or green and something that's not blue or black, you'll probably be missing out on a few card draws. Nantuko Shaman helps you with that, because when it enters the battlefield, if you control no tap lands, you draw a card, which you can easily do by suspending him for 1 turn for 4 mana. Normally, you can cast him for 3 mana, and it's a 3/2 body, so it's still not too bad. A pretty budget deck, though. Ivory Giant, new art, I believe. When it enters the battlefield, tap all non-white creatures, and you can suspend him for 1 white mana, suspend 5. Power and toughness is 3/4, mana cost 7. Personally, I feel like he's interesting, but probably only useful in mono white EDH. Well, actually, it depends on your creature count also, but he does tap down everything for 1 turn, which might help you, but then you really have to build up to use him, so I wouldn't recommend him, but if you can use him, sure, why not? Salad, it's cute. There's not much to say about it. It can create 1/1 green sapling tokens, but that's about it. I guess if you're going for a token deck, it's a pretty fast token creator, so that might be nice. All you have to do is remove 3 sword counters from him and you get a 1/1 sapling. Also, at the beginning of your upkeep, you get put spore counter on him, so that's not too bad, I guess. Death Denied. I personally really like this card in EDH. For 2 black mana and X, you can return X target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. And it is at instant speed, so maybe let's say your opponent tries to exile everything from your graveyard. If you can somehow cast Death Denied really fast, you can save everything. It's not bad, because, well, in EDH you only have 1 of each card, 1 of each creature, so if you can get your dead creatures back, I think it's somewhat worth it. Sen's Enlistment. Oh, of course, and Death Denied is definitely budget, because there are much better cards out there. Sen's Enlistment. Put 2 1/1 white Kitskin Soldiers. You can retrace it. By retracing, you can cast it from your graveyard by discarding a land. It's a cool art, but for 4 mana and at sorcery speed, you only get 2 Kitskin tokens. I personally don't think it's really worth it. If you're going for Soldier Tribal, maybe, but yeah. Not Goblin, Mog War Marshal. He is pretty interesting, I have to say. For 2 mana, you get 2 goblins, and on the next turn, if you don't pay his Echo cost, you get another goblin, because whenever he enters the battlefield or dies, he puts a 1/1 red goblin token. I personally think he's pretty interesting, and probably will fit an aggro EDH deck. That's pretty much where he fits. He's only a 1/1 himself, so yeah. Well, if your opponent field wipes you, you'll have a goblin left over, which is... Okay, yeah, never mind. Ethereum Sculptor. Artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. It's a 1/2. If you are running a heavy artifact deck and you play blue, you need this card, I think. For 2 mana, 1/2, that's already not too bad, especially since you're in blue. Okay, well, there are exceptions, but it also decreases your artifact spells cost by 1, which is, well, I wouldn't say the best, but it will probably help you in the long run, because in essence, everything's cheaper by 1, which is really good in EDH. Personal favorite, I guess. Kodama's Reach. If you guys have ever played EDH, you know this card is good. Land Search is always good in EDH, even if it's 2 basic lands. And this is basically just Cultivate, so play both Kodama's Reach and Cultivate. That's all I can say. Unless you have other ways. Like, these are really budget cards, and they're still good. Rift Elemental is... you really need to play off with the Suspend element to really use him. Remove a time counter from a permanent you control or a suspended card you own, and he gets +2/+0. He doesn't even have Trample, so I personally wouldn't really recommend him. Cool art, though. Cool art. It's like... Spores? I don't know. Vivid Grove. Budget EDH card. 2 charge counters when it enters the battlefield, and enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it usually to make it act like a forest, or you can remove a charge counter while tapping it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, so it's a filter-ish thingy. Worm Harvest. Put a 1/1 black and green token on the battlefield for each land card in your graveyard. It has Retrace, and it's 2 generic mana and 3 black or green mana. It's interesting since it says put a 1/1 black and green worm token onto the battlefield for each land card in your graveyard, and Retrace also helps along with that. In the blue-black deck, I guess this is one way to pump out tokens, even though there are better ways, but if you're playing a really heavy graveyard-based deck, maybe you could consider it. Next is... okay, I really don't know how to pronounce this, but let's try Physis. Probably? Destroy target creature. Its controller loses life equal to its power plus its toughness. It's in total 7 mana, 3 generic, 4 black. You can suspend it for 2 mana, 1 generic, 1 black. Suspend 5. It's interesting as a kill spell, but just because of its heavy mana cost and 3 black, I don't think you'll be playing it much. Even when suspend basically means you're hoping your opponent plays a good creature to kill, or that their creature hasn't gotten destroyed yet. So, yeah, not the best skill spell. If you're playing mono black, maybe you'd consider it, but otherwise, no. Pact of Negotiation. This is the rare. Counter target spell for 0 mana. Pretty good. The only exception, which is not that much of an exception in EDH, is at the beginning of your next upkeep, just pay 5 mana. If you don't, you lose the game. Unless your opponent somehow taps down all your lands and makes you unable to tap them, you are pretty much safe. Plus, it's a counter spell at 0 mana, so you tap out, and then your opponent's like, hey, I can cast a spell, but then you go, no, you can't. which is a pretty good mind trick in my opinion. Pact of Negation, I like it. Last but not least, the foil card included in every, well, not included in every modern pack, but you always get a foil. An Avian Changeling, 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer, and it's a changeling. It's not a bad flyer, I guess, and especially if you're going tribal. So basically, you only throw Avian Changeling in a tribal deck that has white, and you need a flyer in that tribal deck. Pretty cool art. And that's it. Thank you for joining us in Commanding the Cheese this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully next week we'll be back on schedule. And the Kiskin Soldier says goodbye. Bye.